Geroscience researchers report an astounding case study of a 93-year-old with the physical fitness of a 40-year-old.
This was the rower that I wrote about a few weeks ago.
Tell me the story of this.
Yeah, it's an interesting fellow. He was not a lifelong athlete at all, right? So that's the beautiful part of the story in my book. If you're to this and you're a normal person, so was he. And he just kind of took up rowing, like rowing classes. You know, you get a rowing machine and you just sort of do it. And he just took such a love to this thing and got so good that at the ripe old age of 93, I mean, I think his VO2 max, I don't remember if it was reported in the article or if we tried to back calculate it based on his times. But I mean, he at least that perspective would have the fitness of a 40-year-old. Now, I don't want to misrepresent and say that he's a 40-year-old because he's not, right? He doesn't have the muscle mass of a 40-year-old, although he does have very low body fat, right? So if his body fat was probably 16%, which is outstanding. Is his muscle quality the same as yours? No. Would his coordination or fall risk aversion be the same as yours? No. But look, the point is when you compare him to another 93-year-old, he's clearly functioning at a level that's, in totality, I would say, at someone in their 70s. And to me, that's the game. Like, I'm way more impressed by and interested in that guy than I am in any influencer I see doing any feat of strength, running any, I don't care what you can do when you're 40. I really don't. I really care what you can do when you're 90.
How long was he training for?
Decades. I mean, this was not...
Oh, so he'd fallen in love with rowing at 60
in his 60s or something. Right. Yes, exactly.
Okay. And he accumulated this capacity over time.
Yeah. So think of him like a guy who, didn't really accumulate much wealth until he was 60 and then started investing, but was an amazing investor and a consistent investor and compounded and compounded and compounded. And in his 90s, he's a billionaire. And it's sort of like, wow, how did this guy just become a billionaire in his 90s? Well, I mean, he did all this incredible stuff for the past 30 years. Now, the good news is you can start that at 30 and be a ridiculously fit 60-year-old. Mm-hmm. And by the way, you'll be a ridiculously fit 90-year-old as well.
Yeah, it's cool to hear stories like that because I think we've turned such a corner with our understanding of health and fitness within the last, even just communication about anything, it's emotions, meditation, history, philosophy, whatever. But there must be a number of people, especially like my parents' generation, who feel a bit miffed about the fact that, God, if I'd known this when I'd been able to hold on to my health as opposed to doing it now when I'm in my 60s, that sucks. But you have this example of a guy who did do that in, what would be considered serious later life, especially for an athletic career to begin or a health and fitness regime, and has shown just how powerful that is. Like that's, I think it's a cool story.
Yeah. So he's kind of like the poster child for this centenarian decathlon that I like to talk about, right? It's the mental model for what I for, what our patients train for, and what we really kind of care about.